Hello. Hey, Mark. Hey, sorry I'm late, everybody. I was rushing home from Dallas. I'm east of Dallas and east and towards Shreveport, a little bit off of I-20. And I didn't think, go ahead and go to the EPN site, Mark. Yeah, just leave it there for now. Didn't I at 4:30, I was leaving a veterinarian's office in a little community called Denton that was just north of Dallas, where I had a dog, a golden retriever that I have, that was being collected, which means that he was providing his male substance so that he can breed a female artificially, so artificial insemination. And I had to get it done today. That was the only time that I could go. I knew it'd be tight. I was actually going to stop somewhere on the way back. And then it said, you can make it. You might just be a couple minutes late. So I said, all right, I'm going to try to push it. And it ended up just as I thought. Mark, I got a hold of him by Skype a little bit ahead of time, because if you just try to call in on GoToWebinar, and we have a lot of people, and probably some of you are on right now that have just called in, we won't see you. We really won't know you're there at all. So anyway, I'm here a couple minutes late, and great to be with all of you. I'm going to start right off. This is not any kind of a formal presentation at all today. This is the first week that hopefully we do for many, many weeks to come, where we do a discussion and provide information about EPN. And I've got several things to talk about tonight, but I hope that some of you will also weigh in with either questions with your fingers, and even hopefully better, you either just allow us to unmute you and you can talk, or even better, put on your webcam. We've made a lot of progress in the last week. I was able to get all of those that attended our first two EPN webinars, which did not include last week. So last week was the third. And I said that anyone that attended those would be made a free member for a year for our associates group. And I was able to get all of you added using our process that we use through the Kajabi platform. So I already see that several of you are on that were in that group. And so I was able to get that done. We also have an advisory board, which some of you may or may not know about, for EAT. And we've got 135 members, Mark. Do you remember? Is that the right number, or is it's in that range? It's right around there. And they're all over the world, mostly in North America, but we have them in other places too. And they were people who, most of them found us through something that I participated in now for coming on 2 years, which is called Advisory Cloud. And it's a online service where they connect professionals with people who would take their advice. And they also show each of the people that become members 100 or so companies in which are looking for advisory board members. So they asked us very early on if EAT would be one of those companies. And then for about a month period during the summer of last year, they added those members that had chosen EAT to be their a company they'd like to be on the advisory board for. And then that was probably 115 different people, incredible professionals, including head of research and development for PepsiCo, who is actually that you think, well, how are they somebody who are economic? Maybe PepsiCo isn't broadly, but the fellow that got on the board is actually getting PepsiCo into a number of different sustainable crops and regenerative ag for what they're going to be producing in the future as substrate or for their products. He had been on the solid food side of PepsiCo, which included some of their brands that are chips and other things like that. Anyway, really great board, and we've had 3 different live board meetings. The last one, which was last week, and we've had a number of informal meetings as well as one-on-one meetings. And I offered that group, a subset of that group, to become associate members also. And again, there may be some of you in the audience that are also within that group. And I'm just kind of looking at the folks that are in the audience right now, and I do see some that could fit into that category also. So let's see, what else for introduction here today? What else happened between this week and last week? So right now we have in the range of 35 associate members that were granted those memberships. We've had a couple that are in a paid mode, and then we have 66 that are free members. And that's a category that I mentioned last week that we had added. And Mark, if you would go and click on your library first, because you're an admin, there's probably in your library. So click up there at the top of the page. I'll show my screen in just a minute here, but you're probably a member of all of the groups, Mark. So scroll down. Those of us that are staff members, we have admin situations, so we become, it looks like you're going to be a member of all of them, Mark. This is what a page would look like if you were a member of all these groups, which none of you wouldn't have any reason to be a member of all of them. So go all the way back up to the free membership at the top, Mark. It's the very first one. Click on that. There's been some additions here. That's what I want to show. And you're going to click on the resources category, which is down at the bottom. By the way, that image that Mark added is so cool, of the person shaking the hand out of the computer. At least I think it is. So click on resources. And you don't need to click on any of these, probably we'll just quickly show them. But there are 3 books, all of which are unique to our organization. The Unleash the Entrepreneur Within You is a book that we actually have made a little more broadly available, and I think we've got over 10,000 copies of it out in the marketplace. It's been really highly accepted, and we've got lots of people thanking us for making it available. But we haven't made it really broadly available through each. We've had it be a freebie that we give just generally. The next 2 are totally unique, and they're right now only available through getting a free membership of EPN, and that's the Green Marketing Ebook that our staff wrote, and we've edited it just before we were ready to put it out here. And we're pretty excited about it. It's about 180 pages, and it's talking about what I think a lot of people in the consulting world don't like to do, which is to sell and to market. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. And then the third one there, the juicing book, that's just, again, another one that we wrote. We initially were going to put it out to the EAT community, maybe eventually will, but we just thought, you know what, if you're going to be a good consultant, you better be able to be healthy. And you don't want to have health become a real issue for you. So we provided that. And then the first three of our, at least the first, yep, they're all three on there. I haven't seen the third one yet. The first three of our webinars that we've done. And Mark, we're going to change those topics, the names. It's not, they're all about EPN. So we'll probably, you and I can talk about how we change those. But Mark edits some things and doesn't do a lot of editing. So those are pretty unedited versions of the three sessions that precede this one. And this is one, all of these are being recorded. So if you ever can't attend one of these sessions live, a recording will be done and it'll be made available a couple days after. So why don't you click on one of those, Mark, just to show you what then, if you do that, go to any one, the third one, let's say the one we did last week. If you've already clicked on that one, that's fine. So there, if you click, you can see that was, I think this is the first one, right, Mark? Is that what you ended up clicking on? Yeah. That was an hour and 35 minutes. We did have quite a few questions, and after that was over, after an hour, and you can watch it and listen to it, or if you scroll down, if this is, all of you have got this available for you, you can just do a listen through SoundCloud version, so it's almost like a podcast. If you're driving down the road, you can download that also, that version, and it will actually download the video also. So it's not just the audio. That's correct, isn't it, Mark? That will download both, the SoundCloud. Okay, which is great because then it doesn't take up a lot of space. We should be adding, because remember we do this on the EPN Elite site. I think you can add to where they can just download. They can download the entire audio and video, and I think it would show up over on the right side here, over in the sidebar. Plus, Mark, we need to add some things now to the sidebar, so just make sure to remind me of that. So those are all brand new. Those are new things. So now, Mark, go back up to the categories, because I want to show the profile forms, because I've had quite a few questions about those. So you go, just click categories there, and it'll back you up. There we go. So click on the profile for, no, you're here on the right page. So click on the profile. There you go, for prospective members. So the intent is not that this is a site you guys would use a whole lot, although you will use it here. I hope I'm asking you all to fill out a profile form. Because I've had several people ask, even today, I had a call with some of the members that were giving some constructive criticism. By the way, Mark, please, if the people have any questions or if they want to be unmuted at any point, just let them know they can do that. John Nillen's on here. John's my partner. And John, if you could maybe, why don't you see if you can unmute John and see if he can talk with us also. Mark. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, everybody, too. And you just need to find the dashboard that you have, and then you can click on that yourself. And some of you don't have microphones available or whatever. We're not going to worry about that. But if you do, it'd be great if you unmuted yourself and weighed in here a little bit. Anyway, the comment today was that when I go to the perspective, the profile forms, I'm not sure why I go there. Well, should I do that before I become an associate member? Should I do it after I become one? And what are you going to use it for? So let me start with the last question, is what are you going to use it for? And we're ready to start using this, by the way, because as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to talk about some projects that we're all ready to start. We're already going to submit proposals for. And I'm going to show them. I'm going to show one of them to you at least that we're going to be submitting a proposal for. And we're going to need teams. We're going to need, in this particular project, people with probably 10 different disciplines that we're going to need to put into our proposal. When you see the proposal that we're going to submit, or the request for proposal, you'll see why that's needed. So the sooner you fill one of these these profiles, member profiles out, the sooner we'll know what your interests and capabilities are, so we can invite you to be on a team that would be submitting for a proposal. And then it's up to you. Do you want to be on the team if we are able to get the proposal? Do you want to be on the team that helps prepare the proposal or not? And again, no pressure, just going to be for people who want to be. So why don't you click on the prospective associate and advisor member profile form, Mark. So that's the reason for this. It's to help us, especially down the road when we get thousands of members, to know what people's capabilities are. So go ahead and stop there, Mark. Eventually, in the next week or two, hopefully before next week, above where Mark's at now, and maybe scroll up a little bit there, Mark, up the page, where right now there is an image. You can see that map book that's there with some glasses. There'll be a video there, and it will actually explain a little bit of what I'm explaining now about why you should fill this prospective form out, and the profile, what the purpose of it is. So again, the primary purpose is to be able to have leadership. And right now, leadership is primarily me and John, and eventually it'll be a lot more of you. And I actually see a couple of you here on here today that I'll talk to privately, that I'm going to potentially ask if you'd like to be advisor members, which is a little higher category. And I've gone through what the profits are for all of these categories in the last 3 weeks, last week in specific. So you can go back and listen to the replay for the webinar, or if you want to ask questions today about that, we can certainly talk through some of that. But anyway, there's money to be made to be on teams and that win and are awarded projects. There's money to be made being a proposal writer for a team, and not even be on the team, and we're going to need those. And then as an associate, you're going to earn a percentage of the profits of the company. As an advisor, you would earn even more of the percentage of profits of the company. And you could earn additional profits from individual projects that we do as an advisor. So this one project that we're going to be submitting a bid for, which, by the way, the bids are due on that in the middle of June, actually fairly late in June. So we have some time. But once that's submitted, it's a $42 million contract. And I've gotten several of those that are just like this one before. This is with the Department of the Army, and it is to do what's called indefinite delivery and indefinite quantity projects on closed Army sites around the world that will need to have environmental work done on them as they remain in the ownership of the Army in a closed status. Eventually, we could end up owning some of those sites. EPN could if we chose to, because I believe the companies that do these projects for them will have an inside track at being able to get that kind of thing. Now, this is a proposal, by the way, that I do not believe is fixed. And that's something that you should begin to understand in any area in which there are governmental contracts. If there's a current provider of whatever the service is, and they're required by law to just go out and get additional bidders and to potentially award it to someone else every X period of time. This particular project, it's every 5 years they're required to. A lot of times the proposals are written so that really only one firm can win. Only one firm can really meet all the criteria that they want. And that's what we say are really projects where the fix is in, and the project is going to go to someone that is already, it's almost guaranteed for them. But by law, the federal agency or the state agency or the local agency has to put it out for bid. We're not going to mess with very many of those, if any, because it's just not worth the time. This particular one has had different providers over the last 20 some years, because these kinds of services have been provided for probably 30 years or more. And it's been different firms. And I happen to have a little bit of an inside knowledge to know that they're not happy with the firm that they're using right now. And it's very unlikely that that firm is going to get it again. So it's just a little bit of the psychology and the work that's done when you market into this kind of a marketplace. But anyway, let's go down and scroll down to the prospective advisor or associate form. The timing for filling this out, and it describes that at this little top part here, I'm not going to read it, is either right away when somebody becomes interested, or after you've actually become a member, in this case as an advisor or an associate, and you really want to start being on a team. You cannot be on a team until you've filled one of these out. You can't be on a team. You could be on a team that does work to go get a project without having signed our NDA and agreement. Just stop right there for a second, because I want to talk about a few of these questions, Mark, but you'll scroll in just a minute. You cannot be at the point where you're actually going to earn some income from EPN until you've filled this form out and you've filled out the NDA and, and the NDA, you don't have to fill it out. It's just one click, and we'll show that in just a minute. And you sign it by agreeing to what you've read. So it's a digital signature. But this has got some things that are required, and the required items have a little red asterisk by them. And the name is required, email address, cell phone number or phone number. Sometimes people don't have a cell. And then there's some questions about things you may or may not want to do. And here's one here. Is your shipping address the same as where you'd like to be contacted at? Some places people have different ones. So you might want to ship to a physical address, but you have a post office box where you receive most of your mail, or where you receive. So those are different. Scroll down a little bit further now, Mark, just to where so that there's just a new set of topics on the screen. That's good right there. There's where it shows that the email address is something that's required. Now, members in these two categories, advisors and associates, can either join as an individual or as the small company that they represent. It still is an individual, though, that has to be the member, and they can be representing a company. So if I wanted to join as my consulting company, which is called SEED, Center for Economic Excellence and Development, I also use Dorban and Associates sometimes, so I have both those as active entities. But if I wanted to join as SEED, I have 5 or 6 people who work with me at SEED I would join as an individual, as the leader, essentially, in this case, owner of seed. And then if I wanted to have those other 4 people or the 5 people join, I could either pay for their memberships, I could ask them if they want to be individual members. They would also then could, if they wanted, put down that they're associated with seed, and that's where they put the website. That's where it would really show the association mainly. Or they could just join as individuals, could do either way. The next couple sections are just information. It's much like you would fill out if you were going to apply for a job somewhere. This is not applying for a job. This is getting information. But the next one is education. Just what are your education characteristics? So you fill that out in the box. The next one is one where it's there's a long list below here on the skills inventory, and it says anything that's on this list and anything else that could be called environmental or ecological that's not on this list, stop right there for a second, Mark, because I want to read this. I didn't do this last week. You would pick that out. So let's say you have skills in air consulting. That's one of the things that you do, and air modeling. But let's say that air consulting, you would say, hey, that's what I do. I've done 50 projects over my career in air consulting. You'd put that you have a skill level of a 5, because that would then say that you represent expert status within the discipline. And that's why 5 would be what you choose. And it's subjective. You can make whatever choice. If you used a 4, that would say that you have significant working or supervisory experience. And it's probably would be something that one of your team members would have if you had a team of 5 to 10 people, let's say. And you as the leader would use it yourself as a 5. The next tier down would be as 4. So 4s and 5s are really people that we'd want to look at to be team members to do air consulting if that was needed on a project that we had. A 3 would be general working experience, and that would be for probably people who have done air consulting, but they really need supervision to do it right. They couldn't be expected to just say, well, they're going to take the lead on doing air consulting on a project. If it's number 2, it would mean, they know they've done some air consulting on some projects. They really are going to need to have someone else supervise them. And they probably can't be creative at all. They can be told to do some things. There's some instruments that they've used that they understand, but it's minimal. And then finally, 1 means that you really don't have a lot of experience at all, but you really, you do think you took a course in air consulting in high school or college or something like that. So I said in this case, air modeling was another one. So a person could have a 5 in air consulting, and they might have a 3 or a 2 or a 1 in air modeling. So these are just to be mind joggers for things that you have your own personal experience in. And there's lots of them here. So now scroll down, Mark. And they're not all here. And I would love it if you guys would send me some more. Go through this list, see if what's missing here, because we'll add them. And then you put them in this box that's right below software development. And that was something that somebody brought up last week that was a little confusing. They said, wait a minute, why is software development a requirement? It isn't that software development, it's filling out this box is required. I've got to see if we can get that put up using SurveyMonkey, which is the tool here. A company called Wufoo provides it. And it's really the best survey tool that I know of out there. This next question is really important, which is, when are you available to work on a project? Something you could do full time? Probably not going to be that way for very many of you, but it could be for some. By the way, you could put multiple answers to this one. Part-time, so probably wouldn't make sense to put part-time and full-time because that's a little confusing, but you could. You could certainly have part-time and after normal working hours. And normal working hours are sort of considered for wherever you're at in the world, 9 in the morning till 5 in the evening, something like that. A little bit subjective. And then finally, you could be full-time, but you could really only telecommute. You've got to be able to do whatever you need to do through a telecommuting process. That's important. The next one is assignment preferences. Do you want to be on a project team? Do you want to be on a proposal development team, or both? And that is a multiple choice where you pick one of the three. Because you could either want to be just on a project team and not on a proposal. You could want to be just a proposal and not a project, but if you do both, you click on the both. Language skills, not right off the bat are we going to do things that probably English isn't the most important, but we will be eventually. I hope that eventually we're doing things in multiple different languages. So having different language skills, and again, we're sort of asking you to give a rating from 1 to 5 in terms of what your fluency is. And I think I see an error there. No, it's fine. It would say that 1 is, you just have marginal skills in it, and 5 is fluent. It's probably your native language. Mark speaks 6 or 7 languages. So Mark, how would you rate yourself for your languages? So from 1 to 5, just state what they are. And this is just an example for people. Which is what? Tell us what that would be if you typed it in there. Okay. Okay. And that's what we're asking. You just make your own rating of yourself. Now, I've known Mark for 8 years or coming on 9. And we've never spoken in his native language, which I'm again assuming that 5 is a right rating. I'd rate him way higher than a 3.5, maybe not a 5 for English, but shoot, I might say he has way better English than a lot of people whose only language is English. So it's possible at least that he could have self-rated himself as a 5. Let's say 4 to 4, way over 3.5. And then Spanish, shoot, I've heard him talk with people in Spanish, which I could put together just a few really simple things in Spanish. So I might say I'm a 1. I think you'd be higher, Mark. You'd at least be a 2 in Spanish. But anyway, so that's just showing you how you should rate there. But you make your choice there. And then the next one is professional experience. There's one where a lot of people have already asked, and it says it here. If you want, just email a resume, because that'll list that. That'll also list your education. So we're not trying to have you spend just tons of time filling out something that you've already done. So it says just email it to me. Or if you want, you can just sort of fill out what it describes here, which is your job title, your dates of employment or dates of involvement, a brief description, and just do that for whatever you think is appropriate. Is it appropriate to put down here that you worked as a chef at a restaurant? Probably not. I mean, that is appropriate for you, but it doesn't tell us a whole lot to help put you on a team. Although maybe we're going to need some chefs out on some teams too. These next 2 questions are really important because the first one says, can we share your information with the rest of the EPN community? Because if you say no here, it's just between you and our absolute leadership right now. It's literally just between Mark, myself, John Nillen, Sierra, who's not on here tonight, who's had a dinner to go to, and Arib, who you guys, most of you know. Mark and Arib are not going to really ever share it. They're amazing. Neither is John. It's just very close. to us. It wouldn't ever be shared publicly. If you do allow it to be shared publicly, which I hope that most of you will agree to, that we're gonna be posting this on something that is available not to the general EPN broad membership, so not to the free members, but to your group. So if you're an advisor, it'll be shared with other advisors. If you're an associate, it'll be shared with other associates. If you're a service member, it'll be shared with the other service members. So where they'll know if they want to reach out to you to be a partner on a project that they've found that either is inside EPN or is outside EPN. And then the last one here is in this category is we have a map that we can just put basically an icon on for you, and it just will show people where we have geographic presence, and people can click on that and then they can see that's where you're at. Finally, there is a member directory which we'll go to. I'll show you where that is in just a minute. And that all of you could fill out. It's a lot briefer. It's mainly having your social information and your sort of where you say you're from and your name. And that also you have to agree in advance that you would allow to share. That's going to be shared with the entire membership. And then we can see how people can help reach out and talk to you. And then there's a place to put some additional questions and comments at the end here for anything else that you want. I'm going to stop real quick and see what questions and comments that anybody has are. Guys, put something in here. At least put some ones in to make sure I can hear you, and excuse me, that you can hear me and you can see the camera. So throw some ones in if you can see me all right and you can hear this all right. There's some names in here I don't recognize, and I'm not going to, again, call anybody out. That's not what we do. So, but I'd love to get to know you. Others of you I know, and love it if you put some info in there, please. Thanks. Get some ones that show that you understand it. Let's just pause, and again, have any of you already tried to fill out this profile form and had any struggles with it? So while you're just thinking of that and maybe typing, or again, anybody that wants to be unmuted is certainly welcome to. I'd really like to have a discussion if at all possible. Mark, would you go back now and get back to the home page, which you can just go up and click on the logo and it'll take you back to the home page. That's one thing you can always do. Just go up, and if you just click on the EPN logo, it'll take you back. And now go back down to your library. Click on the library. And now this time I want you to click on associate membership. There it is, second one. So enter the site. Everybody's a free member who is an associate or a service or an advisor. So you're always going to have at least 2 memberships. Your free membership, because there's things you're going to want to access that will only be on the free site. We're not going to put the videos, replays, or the free books or other freebies that we come up with onto the specific pages for our groups. We don't want to have them in duplicate locations. So click on the primary business information. That's the only category right now. This will be populated with a lot more information over time. And now click on the EPN Elite Associate. And EPN Elite, we're just calling everybody that's joining right now an Elite Advisory. At some point, we'll probably cut that off. Maybe when we get to 1,000 or so associate members, and then you guys will be the elite because you are the first ones in. or founders would be another name. We did that with our EAT group, and it's worked out really well for us. So there's a first part here that just describes what your membership has. Then the next, scroll a lot here. If it was typed out, it would be on 3 or 4 pages, but it's all put here, is what you would be agreeing to abide by as an associate member. Most of it's standard. What's not sort of typical of an agreement, and an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, is when you get to Article 9. Article 8 is really broad, general provisions. You don't have to give your address for written communication because you've already given it on a profile form. We already have it there. But Articles 9, I talked about this last week, Articles 9, 10, 11, 12, I think there's 12 here, are all about what you'd get paid and how you get paid. You really should look at those carefully. I've already talked about them. Ask questions even today about them if you still have them. And then finally, you get down to the bottom. Stop here. There you go, Mark. So this is going to be your digital signature. So it says, please put your name and email address below and click either I agree, so it says agree, or have some concerns. If you agree, if you're now filling this out, you would be totally and officially an EPN member that could now earn money of all the different ways that are described above. If you have some concerns, which would be the other thing you click, we're going to go down and show that in a second, we'll contact you. You could contact us also, but we'll definitely contact you because that would just mean something. Either you read it or your lawyer read it or somebody did and you had a problem with it. Does it mean that we could change this for specific concerns you have? Yes, we could. Would we broadly change it? Possibly. Not likely, actually. This has been reviewed by a lot of people already, business people as well as lawyers, and it meets all of the needs. But that's not to say there aren't certain individual needs you have that could be changed, edited, and then we would change it just specifically for you. That would probably be done through back and forth of email and PDF documents and so on. So now scroll down to the bottom of this, Mark. There's where you would click. Right now it's defaulting that you agree, but if you want, go ahead and click the other one, Mark. You'll see that first one's going to go away. All right, so and you're not going to click submit. Submit would mean what you would click once you're finished, and the instructions for that are up above. And that's it for the NDA side of things. All right, text coming here. That's what I was looking down at. Since Mark not clicking submit, I go back and click the agree just so that back on that default, Mark. I don't think it matters, but those are required if you're submitting it. If you just click submit and you haven't done those, I think actually try that, Mark. Click submit because it's going to tell you you've got to go back and put your email address and your name in. Notice it's still there. There's a problem with your submission. Your errors have been highlighted. So it says you got to put your name, you got to put your email address, and it'll tell you what it is that you haven't done. Same thing on that profile form. If you haven't filled out one of those required steps, it'll tell you there. All right. That's kind of it for this. This was done last week. The freebies that we have that we put in, and that was not done until this week. We're going to add one more and possibly two, but one for sure, freebie, not for everybody, but for just our associate members and our advisors. And that is a course on environmental consulting that I did for our EAT community. And Mark, how many weeks was it? Because Mark's editing it right now to get it ready so we can put it in. And the edited versions of these things do edit out a lot of, change the way things so that they make sense, and they're in about 5-minute to 10-minute, maybe at the most 20-minute segments. How many weeks did I do that, Mark? 11 or 12, something like that, I think. Do you remember? Because you've been looking at it. 12 weeks, okay. Now, each one of those are at least an hour. So there's probably going to be 36 to 40 different little segments that will teach a lot. And some of you would be no value to you at all. You already know more than I do about what it means to be an environmental consultant. And hopefully that is the case, and I can learn from you. I want to just continue to learn from all of you. And I know several of you that are on here, I've already learned some stuff from you. But as it relates to environmental consulting, a lot of people that are going to become associate members, student members, would probably make this also available to our student members. We're going to sell it otherwise, so it will not be free. We'll probably add it as something that our free members can buy if they'd like to, but we're not going to make it free for them. We'll probably just generally sell it to the general public for somewhere in the $49 range, something like that. It's probably worth 3 or 4 times that much, I hope, but that'll be available. And that's going to be as soon as Mark finishes the editing on it. And then I think I might have mentioned this in the email. We also are going to put Jonathan Latham's, Dr. Jonathan Latham's course that we've also just about finished doing the editing on his opinions, and that's what they are, their opinions of the origins of the COVID-19 virus. And it's insightful. He's actually been quoted in Bloomberg's and on Wall Street Journal, a variety of different sources, because he is considered to be very well known and an expert in this particular area, and it's relevant, it's today. And so we'll be adding that as something that's free in the EPN free member group. So as soon as we're finished editing that, we'll be putting that there. Mark, if you click on, and all of you now as associate members, if you are, will have similar things if you click in different places. Click on About, Mark. And it talks about our mission statement, and you can find out more about that. And this is mainly for people that are just coming to the general website. And talks a little bit about John and I. And I actually keep scrolling. Go ahead and scroll down. John said he's going to get a different picture. Thinks that one's too grainy. It's my beautiful wife, Deb. I really like mine because it's with my most favorite person in the world. Keep going all the way to the bottom here. You don't have to worry about reading any of this. I actually thought something else was on this page. No, yeah, this is where somebody else that's not a member could go ahead and get something where they essentially get taken to the EPN free site, and we just get their information. So go back up to the top again, Mark, or actually stay down at the bottom. No, go back to the top. By the way, there's contact up at the top, and then there's contact us down at the bottom. Those are a little different. So click on contact. It shows you where you can get a hold of us for in different ways. And social places to get social, all our different sites, the different social sites that we have. And then click on the contact us down at the bottom. You can see it's a little different. So there's where you can just fill in, and you can we'll get a hold of you if you leave a comment there. And then click on the store up at the top. And Mark already owns these because he's a member, or he's an admin, excuse me. So it's going to show all of them there. It gives information about them. All right, and then go back up again, Mark. So that shows all of the different ones. Go back to my library again. I want to see if one other thing is there. Yeah, we missed this when we first started. So click on announcements up there in the left-hand top, Mark. And over time, we'll be putting more and more announcements. Right now, it's just sort of broad and just saying that we're open for business. And again, this is on the home page also. We just happen to be getting it on the page that was for this particular membership type for you. And so now scroll back up. I want to show the membership directory. There's really nothing there on the dashboard. It just takes you back to this same page. But this just has some people, and you would have had to have filled out that you were willing to have your name put in here to be able to have gotten in this. So some of these are our staff are retesting, so we'll be removing some of those that are not. And I think I changed it to where you can put a certain number. They're alphabetical by first name. That we can't change. It keeps it that way, but I think it puts 36 on a page. Here's where Doug Turner put a little more information in. Other people didn't put anything about where they're at. That's fine. Erin put in Ohio on hers. Hector put it Denver. There's Ingrid put her social icon in. And that would be that if you clicked on that, it'd be how you'd go to her Twitter page, which we're not going to do. Joel's got his location there. So one more page, because I believe there's a few left in the last one. And my name isn't on there yet because I have not joined as official. I've been doing test memberships and all different things, but mine will go on there. And I'll put all my social icons in there so you'll be able to get to those also. We'll eventually again have a page like this that will have that profile form on it. So Mark clicked on, anytime you want to go back to the primary homepage again, you can just click on the logo icon on either the footer or the header. So questions, comments from anybody? David said he had no issues with the profile form. Cool. A person who was on and had to leave said she was her first time here, so she's kind of lost, but don't want to hold up anything. I'm very interested in this. All right, Mark, I'm going to take the screen here. Put some other questions on, everybody. Mark, yep, I got it. I got it. I've got to pull up. I've got to minimize this screen. I've got my webcam screen way too large. All right, I gotta minimize here. Darn, I gotta turn my webcam off for a minute, just a second. So this is a site that's coming out as a new site. It's called beta.sam.gov. You can see here that on the 26th of April, they're going to make some major changes in the way that it looks. But this is the site where you can do a really broad search to find different kinds of federal projects. And I've actually joined it as EPN. And I believe that I have that's not it. Yeah, might as well do this right now again. I do not have this saved on LastPass yet. There we go. I just added it to LastPass right now. I've talked to you guys about LastPass. Boy, I got to tell you, there's nothing better to keep track of email addresses, to give you secure email situation. It's just really great. I would highly recommend it. What I'm going to take you to here is the specific information for this one project that we're going to work on. I'm just learning this site, so we're not there yet completely, and I'm not finding what I'm hoping to find here. Okay. I've saved some projects and I wanted to get to them. Okay, I'm not having good luck here right now. All right, well, I have to learn this better. But let me talk a little more about this project. So it's a indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. That means that if you get selected, and they'll select one firm to help with environmental projects on closed military facilities, US Army military facilities around the world, then if you're selected, and they'll only select one group, then they will make assignments to you in which you will then, for every individual assignment, be given some guidelines. You will already have told them what your rates are for your different professionals and all the different services they'll provide. And So you don't have to speculate on that, or just, well, what did we decide we'd build in? And you'll submit a work order for individual projects. This one is for $42 million for a 5-year period. Over the last 25 years, they pretty much used that money up every 5-year period. Government doesn't like to allocate money to projects in different agencies that they don't use, and so it's called use it or lose it. And if an agency doesn't use some money at some point, they're going to lose it when they try to get the same amount of money they apply for the next time around. So it's pretty good chance that if we get awarded this, we're going to get $42 million worth of work over 5 years, which averages 8 million, a little more than 8 million a year. Probably going to take a team of 20 people to make this project work. And they'll have capabilities that'll range from environmental assessment to remediation technologies. We will not have to have the actual team members on our team that will dig holes, or, as we say, drill. We can hire those as subcontractors. And so we don't have to show that we have that expertise. We will have to show that we have the expertise to choose those kinds of folks. The fact that I've had at least 3 of these IDIQ contracts for the Army for similar circumstances, it wasn't for closed facilities, it was for open facilities, means that we have a lot. I know what it takes experience-wise to get this work. But that doesn't mean anything, because the firm that gets this is going to be the one that essentially creates the best personal relationships with the decision makers at the Army that are going to make the decision for the contract. And that's going to be a matter of meeting with those people virtually, probably during the current COVID circumstance world, or live over time. And that's something that we'll do. So I'm going to go back here to the beta, Sam, and just show you something, because you can create, now that I'm signed in, I think I need to sign in here. That's what we did wrong. I was just logging in, but yeah, I should be logged in now. This is, I don't understand why it's not. What I'm not finding is how it goes back to there's something here that's just not working. I'm going to go ahead back to this one. Go back. Oh, now it's not letting me totally back up and get to there. There's something about this site that I just got to figure out more. But it would show all the detailed information, and including all the contact people that are appropriate for the Army on this particular project. The GSA just disseminates all this information, and we'll want to be creating relationships with them also. John and I have both had considerable experience doing this. We're also looking at a whole bunch of other sites. This one is called Bid Prime, and we're going to be joining these as EPN, and then we're going to be making the memberships available to you under our EPN users accounts. And the one in particular, which I don't believe I have up here, is BidNet. And John and I had a conversation with the BidNet folks last Friday. And John, I don't know, because John and I talked this morning, but did you reach our rep, Jim, today? If you could type that into the question. area, please, to see if he answered our questions. I'm waiting for John here. No, he was out of the office. Okay. We'll be reaching him, but let me just give you broadly what will happen. If you were to go individually to BidNet through your company or you as an individual, you would not find any pricing on their webpage. You have to get a demonstration and you have to have a sales person that interacts with you. You would likely find that to become a member would cost you somewhere in the range of 5,000 to 20,000. And no, John, I don't think you'd get it for that amount. That's what we're offered. But that's not what you'd be told by a salesperson directly. It's a lot more than that. Now, they have said that there's a smaller number that you could negotiate with, and that number, and John's put it on the Q&A here, is $2,700. But we're dealing with the number 2 guy in their sales organization. He's been with them 14 years. John's already had a relationship with him, and we're going to be paying somewhere in that $2,700 range for EPN to become a user. We're then going to be able to pass on to our members for $45 up to $100, somewhere in that range, a year, to get all the same benefits that we get as EPN. That alone will be way more valuable than just the price of a $243 advisory membership. And we haven't seen all the demonstration yet. And as soon as we become the corporate member, which is going to happen as soon as we get a hold of get the user account, as soon as we get a hold of Jim, our sales guy, then we're going to get lots of teaching and education about it, because it's not just a search engine. They will find out a lot about us, and over time we'll educate them even more. And they'll be looking very specifically for us for potential projects from local governments, city governments, local entities that aren't cities, like hospital boards or school districts or fire departments or any other subsets of a local government. States, federal, and potentially even Canada. So basically North America. And we'll get daily emails and updates. We'll have ability to do searches anytime we want. And again, we're going to learn a lot about it over the next week or two. And we just think that's going to be huge for people. John says many opportunities you would not otherwise be able to even find that would be available. But we're also looking at these others, like I've shown on the screen here, of one that's called Find RFP, Government, My Government Watch. And there are about 10 of them that we've found that are out there. And it doesn't appear that they're probably as good as BidNet, but they may have some value. And if they make sense, we're gonna have those available for us also. Bid prime is another one. All right, I have run out of info for the day, and sure love to have anybody unmute that like, or put your fingers to the typewriter there, or to the not typewriters anymore, to your laptop or your iPad or whatever you use. Put some thoughts in, something that's discussable. Constructive criticism. What are some things that you'd like to see us doing that we're not? Is my webcam on, Mark? I thought, did I mute it, or is it still on? Cool. Okay. All right. What other thoughts? Mark, any other questions or thoughts you have? Yep. I think a lot are. All right. Well, I don't see anything else. We're not going to go any longer than we need to. Make this really good for everybody. Those of you that have been sort of gifted associate members, I'm going to reach out to you. Mark and Arib are already helping me schedule calls with people. It'll be not immediately, but over the next couple of weeks. And love to hear more about what your thoughts are. And this is, at some point we're going to need some other leaders who are not that are just chomping at the bit to be able to unmute their microphone and put their webcam on and take leadership role. And we'll find those. But so again, I don't see anybody else putting anything else in. Thanks everybody for being here, Mark. And why don't you take us out? Have a great rest of your day.